This is IDS 110, Chapter 10, Writing and Speaking Effectively. Student Profile Victoria Walter. Victoria Walter spent her childhood moving around with her military family, including living in Italy and Guam. She has been married 25 years and has sent her 2 sons off to college. Victoria works 40 hours per week as a department manager for a major retailer and has enrolled in a business administration program. Victoria has identified that grammar is a weakness of hers. She has learned by creating an outline before she begins to write, she is much more effective. As Victoria's story illustrates, the ability to write well and speak well make a tremendous difference in how the rest of the world perceives you and how well you will be able to communicate throughout your life. You will find you often need to communicate differently depending upon who is reading or listening to your words. Each time you speak or write, you are addressing an audience. The audience might be one person or a group of people. It is acceptable to use informal language with friends, family, and other college students, but instructors and potential employers will expect more formal writing and speaking. Writing and speaking effectively. This chapter is not intended to teach grammar and punctuation, but to get you to think of writing and speaking as processes, how you get there, as well as products, the final product, paper or script, and to help you overcome those writers' and speakers' blocks we all encounter from time to time. You might wonder, why can't more people express themselves effectively? Most people don't think of writing and speaking as processes to be mastered step by step. Whatever career you choose, you will be expected to think, create, communicate, manage, and lead. As you lead and manage others, you will also need strong speaking skills in order to explain, report, motivate, direct, encourage, and inspire. As you prepare for a career, you need to start thinking of yourself as a person who is both a good thinker and an outstanding communicator. William Zinsser, author of several books on writing, claims, "The act of writing gives the teacher a window into the mind of the student." In other words, your writing provides tangible evidence of how well you think and how well you understand concepts related to the courses you are taking. Zinsser reminds us that writing is not merely something that writers do, it is a basic skill for getting through life. He claims that far too many Americans cannot perform useful work because they never learned to express themselves. Using free writing to discover what you want to say. Writing expert Peter Elbow asserts that it's impossible to write effectively if you simultaneously try to organize, check grammar and spelling, and offer intelligent thoughts to your readers. He argues that it can't all be done at once, mainly because you use the right or creative side of your brain to create thoughts, whereas you use the left or logical side for grammar, spelling, organization, and so forth. Elbow argues that we can free up our writing and bring more energy and voice into it by writing more like the way we speak and trying to avoid the heavy overlay of editing in our initial efforts to write. This preliminary step in the writing process is called free writing. Free writing, per Elbow, is simply writing that is temporarily unencumbered by mechanical processes such as punctuation, grammar, spelling, and context. Free writing is also a way to try to break the habit of trying to write and edit at the same time. Robert Pirsig directed his student to start with the first brick on the lower left side as she writes about the Opera House on Main Street. What had he done for this student? He helped her find a focus and a place to begin. Getting started is what blocks most students from approaching writing properly. Very few writers, even professionally published ones, say what they want to say on their first try. Another way to think about writing is to distinguish between exploratory writing and explanatory writing. Exploratory writing, like free writing, helps you discover what you want to say, and explanatory writing then allows you to transmit those ideas to others. Explanatory writing is published, meaning you have chosen to allow others to read it, but it is important that most or all of your exploratory writing be private, to be read only by you as a series of steps toward your published work. Keeping your early drafts private frees you to say what you mean and mean what you say. Later, you will come back and make adjustments, and each revision will strengthen your message. The writing process. One of the more popular ways of thinking about the writing process includes the following steps. Number 1, Pre-writing or rehearsing free writing. This step includes preparing to write by filling your mind with information from other sources. It is generally considered the first stage of exploratory writing. Writing or drafting, step 2. This step is converting exploratory writing so that it becomes a rough explanatory draft. And step 3, rewriting or revision. This step is polishing your work until it clearly explains what you want to communicate and is ready for your audience. Many students turn in poorly written papers because they skip the first and last steps and make do with a middle one. Perhaps they don't have enough time due to an overloaded schedule, or they simply put it off until the last minute. Whatever the reason, the result is often a poorly written assignment, since the best writing is usually done over an extended period of time, not as a last-minute task. Many writing experts, such as Donald Murray, believe all of the steps, pre-writing or free writing, should take the longest. Pre-writing is the first stage of the writing process and may include planning, research, and outlining. Writing, the beginning of organization. Once you have completed your research and feel you have exhausted the information sources and ideas, it's time to move to the writing or drafting stage. It might be a good idea to begin with a thesis statement and an outline so that you can put things where they belong logically. A thesis statement is a short statement that clearly defines the purpose of the paper. Once you have a workable outline and thesis, you can begin paying attention to the flow of ideas from one paragraph to another. Rewriting, the polishing stage. At this stage, you take a good piece of writing and do your best to make it great. The essence of good writing is rewriting. It is often helpful to share your paper with one or more classmates to get their feedback. This is typically called peer review. Once you have talked with your reviewers about their suggested changes, you can either accept or reject them. At this point, you are ready to finalize your writing and publish or turn in your paper. Allocating time. When Donald Murray was asked how long a writer should spend on each of the 3 stages, he suggested the following: the pre-write, 85%, including research and rumination; writing, 1%, the first draft; and rewriting, 14%, revising until it's suitable for publication. When readers offer meaningful feedback, you might want to begin the process again, returning to pre-writing, then writing, then rewriting. Begin writing the day you get the assignment, even if it's only for 10 to 15 minutes. That way, you won't be confronting a blank screen or piece of paper later. Write something down on the assignment every day. The more you write, the better you'll write. Dig for ideas. Reject nothing at first and then revise later. Read good writing. It will help you to find your own writing style. The writing process: pre-writing, exploratory writing, identify the purpose, decide on the topic, and research. Writing: rough exploratory writing, state the thesis, build an outline, build paragraphs, introduction, and conclusion. Rewriting: read and revise, analyze your organization, thesis, and evidence, add transitions, correct spelling and grammar, and peer review. Choosing the best way to communicate with your audience. Before you came to college, you probably spent much more time writing informally than writing formally. Think about all the time you spent writing emails, Facebook and blog comments, text messages, and tweets. Now think about all the time you have spent writing papers for school or work. Typically, writing for wired communication is informal. This can be a detriment to your writing skills. The downside of the shortcuts used in informal writing is that they have crept into our writing habits and caused many of us to be careless in our formal writing. Electronic communication does not convey emotions as well as face-to-face or even telephone conversations do. Electronic communication lacks vocal inflection, visible gestures, and a shared environment. Your correspondent might have difficulty telling whether you are serious or kidding, happy or sad, frustrated or euphoric. Sarcasm is particularly dangerous to use in electronic messages. Visit the writing lab to develop skills that will improve your writing. Ask to see samples of papers that have received good grades. Speaking. With speaking, not only do you have to write something, but you have to deliver it to the audience. People in the audience have been in your position and understand your anxiety. Despite your preparation, what if something goes wrong? Just accentuate the positive, rely on your wit, and keep speaking. Your recovery is what they are most likely to recognize. Your success is what they are most likely to remember. Preparing a speech. Successful speaking involves 6 fundamental steps. Step 1, to clarify your objective. Step 2, to analyze your audience. Step 3, to collect and organize your information. Step 4, to choose your visual aids. Step 5, prepare your notes. And Step 6, practice your delivery. Step 1, clarifying your objective. Begin by identifying what you want to accomplish. Are you trying to persuade or inform your listeners? What do you want your listeners to know, believe, or do when you are finished? Step 2, analyze your audience. You need to ask yourself the people you'll be talking to. Ask yourself, what do they already know about my topic? Find out what they already know so you don't bore them or waste their time. What do they want or need to know? How much interest do they have in the topic? Would another topic be more interesting to them? Who are my listeners? What do the audience members have in common with you? How are they different from you? What are their attitudes toward me, my ideas, and my topic? How are they likely to feel about the ideas you are planning to present? Step 3, collect and organize your information. Now comes the most critical part of the process, building your presentation by selecting and arranging blocks of information. The maze of ideas they've already to the new knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs that you would like them to. Step 4, choose your visual aids.
Research has shown that when visual aids are added to presentations, listeners can absorb 35% more information, and over time, they can recall 55% more. You might choose to prepare a chart, show a video clip, write on the board, or distribute handouts. You might also use your computer to prepare overhead transparencies or dynamic PowerPoint presentations. As you select and use your visual aids, consider these rules of thumb. Make visuals easy to follow. Use readable lettering and don't overload your audience by trying to cover too much on one slide. Explain each visual clearly. Allow your listeners enough time to process the visuals. Proofread carefully. Misspelled words hurt your credibility as a speaker. Maintain eye contact with your listeners while you discuss the visuals. Don't turn around and address the screen. A fancy PowerPoint slideshow can't make up for inadequate preparation or poor delivery skills, but using clear, attractive visual aids can help you organize your material and help your listeners understand what they are hearing. The quality of your visual aids and your skill in using them can contribute to making your presentation effective. Step 5. Memorize the introduction and conclusion of your speech so that you can maintain eye contact during the rest of the speech and thus build rapport with your listeners. The best speaking aid is a minimal outline, carefully prepared, from which you can speak extemporaneously. Rehearse thoroughly. Use a few note cards. A paper copy of the PowerPoint slides can also serve as your basic outline. Step 6. Practice your delivery. Rehearse your presentation aloud several times before you actually deliver it. Practice before an audience. Consider recording or videotaping yourself to help you pinpoint your own mistakes and to reinforce your strengths. Ask your practice audience to critique you. That way you will have an idea of any changes that might be helpful to make. Using your voice and body language. Let your hands hang comfortably at your sides. Unless you must stay close to a fixed microphone, plan to move comfortably and casually around the room. Following are some other tips for using your own voice and body language. Make eye contact with as many listeners as you can. This helps you to read their reactions, demonstrate confidence, and establish command. A smile helps to warm up your listeners, although you should avoid smiling excessively or inappropriately. As you practice your speech, pay attention to the pitch of your voice, your rate of speaking, and your volume. Project confidence and enthusiasm by varying your pitch. Speak at a rate that mirrors normal conversation, not too fast and not too slow. Consider varying your volume to engage listeners and to emphasize important points. Pronunciation and word choices are important. A poorly articulated word, such as gonna for going to, a mispronounced word such as nuclear for nuclear, or a misused word such as anecdote for antidote can quickly erode your credibility. Check meanings and pronunciations in a dictionary if you're not sure, and use a thesaurus for word variety. Fillers such as like, and you know are distracting. Consider your appearance. Convey a look of competence, preparedness, and success by dressing professionally.
The guide checklist. Imagine you're going to lead a new student orientation and tour for incoming first-year students. You want to get and keep their attention in order to achieve your objective, increasing their interest in MSU West Plains. Use the guide method. G. Get your audience's attention. U. Don't forget yourself. I. Ideas, ideas, ideas. D. Develop an organized structure. And E. Exit gracefully and memorably. G. Get your audience's attention. You can relate the topic to your listeners or state the significance of the topic or arouse their curiosity. Tell a joke, but only if it relates to your topic and isn't offensive or in questionable taste. Startle the audience. Tell a story. Ask a rhetorical question, a question that is asked to produce an effect, especially to make an assertion rather than to elicit a reply. Regardless of which method you select, remember that a well-designed introduction must not only gain the attention of your listeners, but also develop rapport with them, motivate them to continue listening, and preview what you're going to say during the rest of your speech. You don't forget yourself. In preparing any speech, don't exclude the most important source of your presentation, you. Even in a formal presentation, you will be most successful if you develop a comfortable style that's easy to listen to. Don't play a role. Instead, be yourself at your best, letting your wit and personality shine through. Create a list of all the possible points you could make. I is for ideas, ideas, ideas. Then write them out as conclusions you want listeners to accept. For a typical presentation, most listeners can process no more than 5 main points. Main points should be parallel if possible. Each main point should be a full sentence with a construction similar to that of the others. Each main point should include a single idea. Don't crowd main points with multiple messages. Ideas rarely stand on their own merit. To ensure your main ideas work, use a variety of supporting materials. The 3 most widely used forms of supporting materials are examples, statistics, and testimony. Examples include stories and illustrations, hypothetical events, and specific cases. They can be compelling ways to dramatize and clarify main ideas, but make sure they're relevant, representative, and reasonable. Statistics are widely used as evidence in speeches. If you use statistics, make sure they are clear, concise, accurate, and easy to understand. Testimony includes quoting outside experts, paraphrasing reliable sources, and emphasizing the quality of individuals who agree with your main point. When you use testimony, make sure that it is accurate, expert, and credible. Each person in your audience is unique, so you can best add interest, clarity, and credibility to your presentations by varying and combining the types of support you provide. D. Develop an organizational structure. You might use a chronological narrative or a problem-solution format. Begin with your most important ideas. As you organize your presentation, remember that your overall purpose is to guide your listeners. This means you must not neglect transitions between your main points. In speaking, as in writing, transitions make the difference between keeping your audience with you and losing them at an important juncture. E. Exit gracefully and memorably. Plan your ending carefully, realizing that most of the suggestions for introductions also apply to conclusions. Whatever else you do, go out with style, impact, and dignity. Don't leave your listeners asking, "So that's it?" Subtly signal that the end is in sight without the overused "so in conclusion." Briefly summarize your major points and then conclude confidently. Speaking on the spot. Most of the speaking you will do in college and afterward will be on the spot. When you must speak on the spot, impromptu, it helps to use a framework that allows you to sound organized and competent. One of the most popular ways to arrange your thoughts is through the PREP formula. Short for preparation, this plan requires the following. P. Point of view. Provide an overview, a clear, direct statement or generalization. After listening to yesterday's lecture, yes, I do. Reasons. Broadly state why you hold this point of view. E. Evidence or examples. Present specific facts or data supporting your point of view. And P. Point of view restated. To make sure you are understood clearly, end with a restatement of your position. Checklist for success. Communicate clearly. Take the time and effort to develop your writing and speaking skills. Understand the differences between formal and informal communication. When in doubt about what's appropriate, use a more formal writing style. Learn and practice the distinct stages of writing: pre-writing, drafting, revising, and polishing. Going through each step will improve the finished product. Learn and practice the 6 fundamental steps of effective speaking: clarifying your objective, analyzing your audience, organizing your presentation, choosing appropriate visual aids, preparing your notes, and practicing delivery. Ask for feedback from others on your writing and speaking. You will improve if you accept both positive and negative feedback. Before making a formal presentation, practice before a friend or the mirror. Use eye contact, smile, vary your pitch and rate of speaking, pay attention to word choice and pronunciation, and when presenting formally, dress appropriately. And this is the end of IDS 110, Chapter 10.